Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, their habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I actually have two guests. It's something different that I've never done, and I'm so excited for this. I have Christian Dukes, and I have Jonathan Tuttle. How are you guys?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. So today, I just want to dive into one of the things that we talk a lot is how we go through some different challenges and life lessons. And you guys actually have a company that has done a lot of great things throughout the last couple of years, except it wasn't always that, right? We all go through some sort of journey, and I want to understand that journey. So why don't you guys give me a little bit of, your background, your bio, to get to know you, and the listeners can get to know you.
Can I go first? Yeah, I'll start because then it ties into you in a pretty unique way.
Nice.
So my background back in college, I actually wanted to be a physician. So I wanted to be a physician. My father was a physician, a bunch of, family friends, physicians. So I always wanted to help people. I saw the way that my father really made an impact positively on people's lives. So I wanted to do the same thing. I saw how people looked at him, how they respected him, how they were just happy to see him. And I wanted to do the same thing. So that's where that started. But going through college, actually, it was my senior year. I realized going through these courses and everything, I would take the courses, I would study, but I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. I was just taking in the information, basically regurgitating it back onto the exam, doing well, but I wasn't really engaged. I was just going with the motions. So it was my senior year, and I went to my parents and I said, I'm not happy. Like, I'm going to switch. I don't want to be a physician anymore. And my dad and my parents freaked. They said, it's your fourth year. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Just graduate. Look, just graduate. It'll be fine. Just graduate. And I said, no, I'm not happy. And then later on, I'm going to have this degree. And so I actually switched my focus to what I was really passionate about. And what I was doing throughout the years, I realized that I was doing investment research. I was reading financial news. I was reading all these things. And that's what I was really interested in. But I also took a couple courses in college as well, but just as electives. And that's where I was really engaged. That's where I was really asking more questions. And I was just really focusing on that more than medicine and biology and things like that. This is what I enjoyed. So eventually switched to that and just went with it. It was incredible. I was asking more questions. I was more engaged. I was doing more learning on my own, just going really, really full speed ahead with it. Eventually, after I got my finance degree, I moved to Chicago here from Texas, and I began in mortgage banking. So mortgage banking, the focus was geriatrics. So skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities and such. Did that for a little bit. Then I moved over to consulting for private equity. Now, private equity, they've been moving towards mobile home parks and more toward things like that. So that's really where I got kind of that exposure. But Jonathan, I actually met him when I first moved to Chicago, and he has an extensive background in mobile home parks in that whole industry. So that's where I kind of learned about it a little bit, but over the years, just hearing about it more, and then in this industry, hearing about it more and more, but eventually I just really resonated with it, learned more from Jonathan, and then I'll let Jonathan hop in here and then we can tie it back in again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so my background, grew up in a real estate family. I've always learned the work ethic from my dad. Even when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I would go door to door selling my little red wagon, selling things, just learning the value of hard work and day's work. So even when I was a kid, if I wanted like Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games, I would go shovel the neighbor's yard, just that work ethic and just like learning how to help people solve problems and also get rewarded at the same time. At the same time, my dad was also a developer, contractor, and so I'd be boots to the ground on the job sites. I mean, pretty much when I wasn't doing that, and just seeing the real estate industry from all angles. He had 3 real estate offices. He also was a general contractor, so pretty much all facets, and he also invested in commercial real estate over a course of like 30, 40 years. Fast forward to my working, professional career, I first got into residential real estate. Wasn't passionate about it. Then I reverted back to where I saw my dad's niche was mobile home parks. And I started seeing more and more news start coming up about, affordable housing in late 2009, 10 after the recession. Because before, everyone's mindset was just buy a house and you just hold on to it, you're going to make a ton of money. It was guaranteed, basically. So a lot of people that didn't position correctly or overbought or get, financing from, the last downturn. And I just saw the avenue of like mobile home affordable housing as a great niche. So I kind of pivoted over into that in the brokerage side and do a commercial and start focusing with the mobile homes specifically. And I really saw the opportunity instead of just brokering them to actually own them, because then you get paid multiple ways. You get the equity, you get the tax benefits, and you also get the cash flow. So.
Yeah, that's nice. So one of you guys, so both of you guys are doing investing, right? Both of you guys are investing now, and that's part of it. Do both of you guys also do speaking? I see that here one of you guys is going to be an upcoming author. Is that both of you guys or just one of you guys?
That's me.
Jonathan does that.
Okay, got you. So let me ask you this: like, what is one thing? Like, obviously, it's great to be in this place, right? And I think we all kind of look forward to. I want to be somebody when I grow up. I want to be this person, this whatever this might be, right? It could be a parent figure. It could be someone else that we see. Growing up for you guys, what was that one thing that you wanted to do that whether it didn't materialize or not, it was something that you have. It was that kind of dream that you were looking for.
Do you want to start?
Sure. So once again, it was really just, I wanted to be a figure for people that they just respected and it was more about help. I was the person that was able to help people, that not necessarily providing in a financial sense, but just providing hope, assistance, just anything that people needed. I just wanted to be that figure that people could look up to and say, he's the guy. That's the guy that I can look up to. That's the guy I could go to. So really that was the initial plan. But so, being a physician, things like that, patients go to you. A bunch of patients just funnel towards you. But later on, I realized when I was doing mortgage banking, so assisted living, all these, later on, the baby boomers, they're going to need a place to live. They're going to need a place to stay. And a lot of people, assisted living is a little bit pricey. It's pretty expensive. So not a lot of people can afford that. I mean, in today's climate, 40 million people just lost their jobs with coronavirus. I mean, what are they going to do? A lot of people don't have retirement. What are they going to do? So I was exposed to the need when I was doing mortgage banking. And then later on in private equity, I was exposed to the need again with mobile homes and how private equity is going towards that. But if you can't go to assisted living, you can't go to an apartment, you can't do that in your retirement, where are you going to go? So it kind of funneled towards mobile home parks. And that was another avenue to help people. I mean, it's the only non-subsidized form of affordable, housing in America. We need it. So that was an avenue there.
For me, it definitely wasn't mobile homes when I was a kid. It was just seeing the real estate. My dad was doing mostly residential and commercial investments. He didn't find it until about 15 years ago. So when I was a kid, it was like I knew I'd eventually do something in real estate, but I didn't know what avenue. Obviously the traditional is brokering and investing. That's the two most common. Eventually just, buying different properties. I knew that eventually be the path, but, I wasn't focused on that as a kid, but I knew it would eventually be the end goal.
Yeah. And one thing that actually, I think sometimes, especially entrepreneurs or people that are doing things like what you're doing, right? Being a real estate investor in some sort of form, it comes down to that giving back, right? And being able to see how can I help other people in many different aspects, right? And it reminds me of the quote from Zig Ziglar. He says, if you give people enough, if you give enough people what they want, you will get what you want, right? And it kind of comes down to that. It's like the things you're doing or the things you're working towards is being able to create that foundation from that perspective. What has been one thing that has been your biggest obstacle in life up to this point that it could have been either professional or personal, something that was really huge that you had to overcome in your life? What is one thing that you've gone through? So
yeah, I can start with that. I think after the last downturn, it was a big transition because I got into real estate when everyone was getting out of real estate, and so I thought it'd be easier than it was going to be, basically. So if anybody knows, like 2009, 10, it was crazy. Like every financing dried up, listings went down, the value of the property went down. It was just a chaotic mess, basically. And that's when I got into real estate as a broker. And so that was like really overcoming like the cash flow of that, because like the first 2 years, that was like the hardest thing in my life, because like literally the market was dry and I was 100% commission based. So I literally had to figure out how to grind to make a profit, to make, be able to have a roof over my head. And eventually the goal was to, eventually invest. So it was probably the most challenging year of my life was like 2010, 11, because like everything that could have gone bad did go bad.
Yeah.
Like my car got stolen, and I was trying to sell the car at the same time. Got stolen from being in valet while it was literally listed on like Carfax or all the different car websites. But basically it got stolen, and I couldn't report it as stolen. They ended up tracking to the guy's house, because then it becomes up as a stolen car, and the value of the car depreciates significantly, because then people think that it was like gutted and it was crap. So that was one hit. And then it was just like one thing after another. The girl I lived with was like for 5 years, she left me at the same time. And then my income went down from like from the previous industry. I was in retail sales from like mid six figure, 150, 200 grand a year, to basically zero. And this is the real estate I've been going to day to day since I was 5 years old, seeing my dad. And then when I get into it, I'm like, I have the work ethic, I'm putting the work, and then like I can't do anything right now because the market's terrible. And it was just probably the most challenging time. And just to have the grit, tenacity, perseverance, I just kept honing my skill set, kept getting mentors. And like one thing I could say take away from this is not just in business, but just get mentors that teach you the right mindset, that teach you the value of hard work, and then being able to help problems and not have expectations. So those years and years and years of like building, grinding, and then eventually finding a solution or helping people with different problems they have, it will eventually pay off. But almost everyone you ever hear that gets through that, they have to go through that challenging years, and just don't give up. Just keep being persistent, no matter how hard the times get, because it can get really hard, and that's probably going to happen. I'm not a fortune teller, but we know there's going to be hard times coming if COVID keeps going and it kind of goes down and the world changes. Just understand that, there will be opportunities later and things will get better, but just being that tenacity, the grit, and build that muscle. And then, keep getting mentors, and just not just in business, like in life, and just keep doing the actions daily. Things will eventually fall into place.
Yeah, and I can definitely relate to some of that. I mean, I got into real estate actually right around the time, and similar to you, I lost it all. I mean, I got into rental properties, and before I knew it, I lost all of them. I was foreclosed on some, short sold on another one. So financially, it really impacted me, and then emotionally, that also drained me. So hopefully, the people that are listening, I mean, there was a couple of things that you dropped that I think are very valuable just in life in general. And the idea there is the fact that You have to have that grit, that persistence, that tenacity to continue to move forward, regardless of the situation. And, even as of the recording of this video, we are going through some challenging times. And so one thing that I tell people is that the outcome is determined by your actions, right? It's not necessarily determined, although it might have some influence. The outcome is really what do you do? Is what do you comes out of it? What are you going to do about it, right? It's not the government. It's not, the society is not going to be any of that. You have to be persistent. So you decide your outcome. And so that's very valuable, the things that you mentioned, because you went through that, right? And people might say, well, that's not a big deal. It could be a big deal when you lose everything. You have no money and you have all these little voices and, all that stress that come with that is huge. How about you, Christian? What was one of your biggest challenges that you had to overcome?
Sure. So relating back to when I mentioned I switched my focus in college. So it wasn't that, I just did one semester and then the next semester I just automatically switched. I took a year off and I just needed to clear my head. And luckily I had an incredible support system, my family and my friends that supported that. They said, figure it out, don't just jump from one thing directly to another one. What if you don't enjoy that? What if that's not what your thing is? So what I did, I took the break from college. And during that time, I was working as a bartender, and that was just to pay the bills and to get some cash flow. But beyond that, I was reading a lot. I was exploring more things. I was doing a lot of self-growth, self-education and such. And that is when I realized, what am I reading? What am I really interested in? What do I keep on what am I directed towards? And it was towards that focus. That's what I chose to read. It wasn't in fiction and, all these things. They're incredible. I love reading that too. But what I was going towards, what I would pick up off of this and off of that, were financial things, were things with real estate, were these other things. And I realized this is what I enjoy doing, or what I enjoy reading about. And this is what I'm kind of absorbing. I should focus on this. So I took the plunge, and my first few classes were incredible. And then I just hustled hard and just kept going and going and going until graduation. I just kept trucking along. It was incredible. So really just taking the time to do self-development, self-growth, and then having a support system to kind of help me along the way and just say, you're doing the right thing. This is great. Keep moving forward. I couldn't appreciate those individuals more.
Yeah. And again, even looking at that, some of the lessons that I can take from that, just listening to you, is that you have to take time for you, right? Sometimes we are so busy working on somebody else's dreams or just working on other people that we forget to work on ourselves. Les Brown talks about make sure that you work harder on yourself than you do on anybody else, right? And with that, it does not necessarily mean physically, right? I mean, if you want to work out because you want to lose weight, that's fine. What I'm saying is really, what is that mental work? What is that emotional work, right? And so just being able to take some time away to be able to do that, and like for you, like even just reading and picking up stuff, I'm joking here, picking up stuff, like reading on the right stuff too, right? Not just pick up any book or any magazine or any of that stuff. Something of interest is good. I believe that if the mind is like the body, right? If you are trying to get fit, you're trying to be healthy, then you're going to feed the body the right ingredients. You're going to exercise the body. You're going to do all of that. Well, the mind is the same. And so any programs that go into the mind have to be positive programs, like reading, like discovering that focus, like looking at it from that perspective, like cutting out TV and the bad news and all that crap that's going on. And so it's really feeding the mind with the right ingredients to really help you become more focused, which is what you did, through this 1 year of taking that time off, right? So let's talk about you guys' business now. You obviously came a long way to be where you're at now. Tell me more about the business, some of the things that you guys do, within your business, and what is the ultimate purpose now?
Sure. I can start with this. So basically, kind of goes back to what he said, is We both want to help people, and we could also help investors. And that's kind of the premise of the business. Our niche, it's a unique niche, but like you alluded to California, there's a lot in California. It's mobile home parks. And there's 60 million Americans that need affordable housing. And there's about, correct me if I'm wrong, about 11.5 million mobile homes. So you have this huge need, very low supply. And it's the only form of non-subsidized, which means taxpayers don't pay for it. It's the only affordable housing out there that even if you make 10, depending on, besides California, and there's some coastal because the rents are crazy, but the rents are way cheaper than comparative $1 million houses. But in most of America, the mobile homes are about $1,000 all in, cheaper than the next closest apartment or house. For the affordable dream, have affordable housing dream, this is the only solution. For mobile homes, the biggest thing it does, it solves affordable housing. There's about 60 million Americans. It's 8%. Actually, 8% of America lives in mobile homes. A lot of people don't know that, but that's the real truth. And the problem is there's only a finite amount of available housing, and there's all these people that need it. And we know that it's always a growing demographic. That's the reason we got into the niche, is we saw the opportunity to help people find affordable housing, and also it helps the investors. It's been the top performing real estate asset class for the last 50 years. So based on bank data, and additionally, in the last 10 years, it's been the top performing asset. You can look at Wall Street Journal, Forbes, all the money magazines, and just because common sense, because we had the last recession, people lost their jobs, and or cost of living goes up, and this is, if it's $1,000 cheaper to live in the same town, have the same school, same everything, you gotta go where you can afford it. So it's just a great niche to help solving affordable housing, but also for investors, it's one of the best opportunities. It's been the top performing cap rate performing real estate based on like just data. Even Wall Street Journal just an article on the top performing assets. So it just basically solving the affordable housing and also providing a quality place to live, and then also the investors get a nice return.
Nice. Okay. So that's pretty awesome. And then
it's called Midwest Park Capital. Just forgot to mention that.
Yeah, got you. And so, and you guys created also, or working on an application, some sort of app that people can utilize for that?
We have a course. So we have, so Midwest Park Capital is a real estate fund. So it's for accredited investors. So people defined by the SEC is $200,000 per year individually, or $300,000 a couple, or $1 million liquid, not including your house. So we have Midwest Park Capital. It's a mobile home park fund, and basically what it is for accredited investors, and that means, defined by the SEC, means people that make $200,000 per year individually, $300,000 as a couple, or have $1 million liquid. And what we do is we basically identify, find, remodel, manage, and then just cash flow the properties. The investors get a quarterly payout. They get the best tax depreciation of all real estate. Just to give you an idea, single family has no tax depreciation by the government. Traditional commercial real estate, like retail office, 39 years. Multifamily, I think like Grant Cardone's 27.5. The mobile homes, because it's land, is 15-year depreciation, so the best tax depreciation. And then we hold it securely, monetize the property for the cash flow. And over 8-10 years, they get 2.5, 3x ideally return, plus the quarterly payouts. And then
so are you acting like the more or less like a property manager for the investor?
Kind of, it's part of it. We have a built-in team, but they have 33,000 lots, the biggest property management. We basically built an all-star team of everything, and so all they do is collect a check, basically. It's a private placement, so it's just like Grant Cardone, it's just like Wall Street, just like the same thing like that. As long as they're accredited, it means more sophisticated by the government's terms. They just basically collect checks. It's all more fully transparent. That's Midwest Park Capital. But for the everyday American, which you would to begin with, we have this course called Mobile Home Wealth Academy. And it basically teaches, like, you're the everyday, you want to get into real estate, you want to get into the cheapest form of real estate, you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to put 20% down, you don't want complicated fixing, flipping, like tearing down walls. Like you see all these TV shows, all the flipping. It's great, but if you don't have that much money, what are your options?
Right.
Well, the Mobile Home Wealth Academy teaches you how to basically find small, cheap mobile homes, 70s, 80s, get them for $1,000, $2,000, or if a lot of these owners will say, hey, you could flip the contract, so no money down, and then you have a local contractor, or you can flip them on Facebook or Craigslist. And it's this really unique niche. Not many people do it. So instead of doing like all the TV shows where they're teaching how to flip, which is good, but if you just have a couple grand, you don't have a lot of real estate experience, what is an avenue? There's an avenue to make a nice 5 to 15,000 like on average. In California, for example, the Midwest, that's a normal flip. But in California, you get a double wide in some of these parks, you're flipping them for $80,000, $100,000 flip. So it's like the same as like a regular flip, but you don't have to tear down the walls. You put some new carpet in, paint the wall, put it on Facebook, Craigslist, or even use a realtor broker for those because they're so expensive. But in the Midwest, or most of America, you're flipping trailers for 10 to 15,000, 8,000, and you're beautifying these old units. So you're providing quality home for somebody else that would have to pay 3 or 4 times they had to buy a new one. At the same time, you're making that nice profit. So it's a really good niche. It's not very competitive. So it's called the Mobile Home Wealth Academy, and that's for anybody that doesn't have to have a lot of experience or a lot of expertise in real estate.
Got it. Awesome. So what has been your biggest lesson up to this point for you?
There you go. Except for a couple times.
At this point, really just remaining steadfast in the vision, just keep moving forward. Because, of course, when we're establishing businesses and really constructing our focus, of course, there's a bunch of speed bumps and a bunch of hiccups and a bunch of potholes along the way, but just keep on moving forward and don't lose that really the vision, the positive attitude. Just don't lose that. Keep moving forward. And it really helped to have a partner like Jonathan, because we keep each other motivated, we keep each other positive, and that helps a lot. I know that I couldn't do this on my own. Not just, we're great together. This is amazing.
Yeah. How about you, Jonathan? What has been your biggest lesson?
The biggest lesson, what he said, I think, and this is for anybody that wants, when they're first, even for business or just for life, just keep looking, taking a step back, taking a breath, see where you're at, evaluate, and then keep focused on improving whatever you can, whatever daily small task. At the end of those small tasks build up and build up. And of course there's going to be people that screw you over. Of course there's going to have situations that didn't go out the outcomes you wanted, but just brush them off the shoulder, and you build that muscle where it's like, hey, people are screwing me over. I'm expecting that, but when I do, keep putting the right pieces of the puzzle, and I build that tenacity and that skill set of like just understanding I'm taking steps, I'm eventually hit my goal. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway.
Gotcha. That's awesome. So if people wanted to connect with you guys, how can they find you, or where do they connect with you?
Sure. Yeah, we have with the 2 businesses. So Midwest Park Capital is Midwest, just like it sounds, parkcapital.com. And then we also have if you're a credit investor, you want to see the PPM, which is the offering, go to MidwestParkCapitalFund.com. And then the Mobile Home Wealth Academy is mobilehomewealthacademy.com. That's just the basic page. We have 2 funnels being built right now. They're a little delayed by the funnel builders. So, because those will actually be separate domains, but it's called mobilehomewealthacademy.com. And the cool thing about that too is we're going to have like a private Facebook community, so we can help people along the way, answer any questions and really help solve them. And you could either of our Facebook profiles, mine's Jonathan Tuttle Official, and what's yours? That's your name on Facebook?
Yeah.
The domain?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Got it.
All right. No, that's awesome.
Lucky, I didn't get mine.
Christian.Dukes1, I believe, is the official one.
Okay. Got it. Awesome. And if people that are listening to us or are watching this right now, they might be going through some sort of a challenge, right? What would be your advice in terms of one of the things they can do to start overcoming that challenge? So we'll start with Christian, and then we'll go to you, Jonathan.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah. So if somebody's going through some sort of challenge right now, what could be one thing they can do to start overcoming that challenge?
So really understanding what the challenge is, first of all. Looking at it, the big picture, macro view, micro view as well. But then taking a moment to step back and think about it. Think about it and for what it really is, how it's impacting you, if it's really that important, if it's really that big of an issue, if it is. And then beyond that, really take a moment to figure out what your best plan of action is. Take the time to really think about it so you don't jump to any conclusions. You don't jump into it unprepared, but just taking the time to do that and make it the best impact that you can make.
Awesome. I love it. How about you, Jonathan?
Yeah, I say the same thing. It's really just taking a step back and realize that, life's a journey. Like you mentioned in the story, it's a long journey. So just don't let anything overstress you, because there's going to be hiccups along the road, whether it be relationships, whether it be family, and just realize, take a step back, evaluate the situation, and then one thing I do to prove any situation is like take some time for yourself. Like he said initially, work out. Like you said too, work out because that releases like the stress. Do something productive that can help you relax, and also at the same time help move you forward at the same time. So that's a couple key takeaways we all kind of mentioned.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. Well, guys, is there anything else that you want to share before I let you go? I really had a great time talking to you guys today.
As well, man. As well.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just check out the website. I think for any everyday person that wants to get into real estate or wants an avenue to get something a little bit easier, less capital, and not as challenging, the Mobile Home Wealth Academy. And if somebody else is like wants a stable, it's an accredited investor and wants a great place to park their capital the next 8-10 years in a fund and the best niche, the best performing asset in the last 50 years, Midwest Park Capital is a great place. And we're going to do I'm speaking at a lot of the national stages in our industry, so you have a team of experts there to help you.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's time to enjoy and just have fun with it. Really just have fun with whatever you're doing and just, breathe it in, take it in.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. Really appreciate taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. And for the rest of you guys, please make sure that you check us out on every platform where you can hear your favorite podcast. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, comment, and also you can check us out on YouTube. Make sure, again, that you subscribe. Till next time, I'll see you in the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.